So hi everyone, thanks for having me here. Yes, it's very sad I am one of those who, let's say, left the ivory tower and went to business. And basically managing trust is a criterion to manage any kind of community, family, business, and larger entities, let it be political entities or European entities. So today, as it has been requested, I will talk a little bit about power of trust in the age of uncertainty. And basically, because I'm coming from from a practical world, so to say, impact is a key element in our life. And so this talk is about how can we make Europe a better place, right? So let's start. It's in the opposite direction, I guess. Okay, so Klaus Offer had a vision in 1994 that, the new democracies of Central Europe, let's use these terms, can easily slide into, let's say, or turn back from the, transformation of the systems, because in case the quality of life is decreasing, then, it can easily, the systematic changes can stop and turn back. I don't like to give any forecast. I think so far so good, I could say. So we still maintain democracy across Europe, in most places. So I think we have to rely on that. So let's be a bit optimistic. So what we have to do when we talk about trust, we have to do a reality check. And coming from a company that's basically dealing with data, and dealing with data, people have to have trust in data, because that's where we have to rely on our decisions. So let's make what the data shows. And I will show some figures, I don't know whether in the last 2 days it has been shown, the quality of life surveys data. And then we will move on that how we can build a trust culture, and what are the main elements of this, and how we need to rely on diversity, and what we need to do. Okay, so trust, there's lots of, let's say, concept of trust. This comes from Fukuyama. But basically, trust is based on that you, in a community, that you promise something, you have some kind of expectations, and you deliver according to what you promise. And it has to be mutual. So, as the recent 2029 survey shows, that from the Eurobarometer, trust in the European Union is high. It's higher than it used a couple of years ago. So there is an optimistic attitude toward the European Union, and what has to be a warning for everyone, but for the national governments and, let's say, parliaments, it is much lower. And the tendency holds up for the last, let's say, 20 years at least. So, and there are two main concerns for the European citizens. It's basically immigration and climate change. So, trust in Hungary, because we are in Hungary, so I have to talk a little bit about Hungary. Trust in Hungary toward the European Union is higher than the European average. And Hungarians think positively, the majority of Hungarians think positively about the European Union. However, there are certain areas which I will show that's critical. For example, health surveys. Hungarians, 21% have, let's say, concerns about the health and social security, while in the other European 28 countries of the European Union, it's double as high. So this is for sure an area of concern. So what in the European Union, what are the strategic pillars of, let's say, of trust? So one pillar is for sure the quality of the public services, education and healthcare, and basically the services that are critical for personal and economic growth. And it's even more important than the personal, how people feel about their personal well-being. So public services and institutions are key in all countries. So why we are worried about trust? Because it's a legitimacy indicator and it has behavior consequences. Because if you don't get people signed up for what you do, for your mission, for your values, and you don't have a cohesion in your organization, then you basically are having a legitimacy issue, and you run the risk that things will turn into chaos and people don't behave and don't act as expected. And you, for sure, you will not deliver the expected or the, let's say, the goals. So satisfaction with the public service is a strong indicator for the level of trust in democracy. So this was and for the state of law. So this was the major, let's say, finding of the European Quality Survey. So for the quality of life, how people perceive, of course, there are great differences between the countries, and it included the health services, the education system, public transport, childcare services, pension system, and so on. So the average rating, yesterday Ahmed talked about how people feel about pension in Russia. And yeah, the average rating for the public services was 6.3, but for the pension system it's usually much lower in the European countries. So when you look at data, you always have to you have to examine data in trends, right? So we start from 2004 and we go to spring 2019. The blue line, right, it's about trust towards institutions in the European Union. You can see there is quite a bit of, let's say, change in the trust. These are the recent results. It's up to 44. It has been the lowest right after the recession, after 2008. So it's going up, but you have to also notice that this is the trust in national government, so there is, let's say, the gap is opening up. So you have to take it as a sign, because how you will have trust in the European Union if you don't have trust in local governments, or the trust in local governments is decreasing. So, and also, I would, you have to take data always with some, the key is how you interpret it, right? So, if you have a child and gets in the school a middle mark, you may not necessarily be overly happy. So we are talking about a scale here, a scale of 10, and we have got the score of 5, around 5. So there is room for improvement, right? For sure. So just to give you another piece of data, so the perceived quality of public services is, had the highest score, and so that's a good basis for moving on. Education, primary education is the second one. Government integrity, is also around 5. What is very negative is the perceived social tensions on trust and the social exclusion intact. So that's why inclusion and diversity is a key issue, because this is something that can tip around social stability and political stability in our regions. So therefore, improving the quality of services is key across all the countries in Europe. And another point is that active citizenship and, let's say, the engagement of the civil society is a basic element of trust and cohesion. So which are the areas that are critical for social trust and basically for political stability? So we have to look out for areas of social tensions, healthcare, social inclusion is key, insecurities, the perceived insecurity, right? The integration of how we, as said by Buzet and then the BRICS have indicated in their talk last 2 weeks ago in academia and in their book, The Definition of Europe. So Europe has to decide how they want to deal with migration and immigration. And this is also a key element in our security. And young people, and not just young people, I should say also old people. No one from the society should feel being excluded, because if they are unemployed, if they don't have housing security, if they feel excluded from having any kind of opportunity and chances to go ahead and build a life and belong to somewhere, then we will have a problem. But it's the same problem for people with all kinds of, let's say, handicaps, mental illness, let it be anything. So we can see, so I just put young people, but it's also the exclusion of old people. That's also an issue. And with the aging that we have in Europe, this is also very critical. So, again, the danger is that if we don't pay attention to these signs, and we have, like, and people feel, even they have the perception that there are lots of tensions and cannot be, it's not handled properly, then people feel disengaged, they don't care, and then it can lead to anti-systematic voting, right? Though, for example, in Hungary, if you look at the research data, Median is regularly putting out this kind of data, one of the Hungarian, let's say, public opinion research organization, that before elections usually, let's say, trust level is going up because people have optimistic, let's say, expectation towards that, things will burn better. And also integrity and rule of law are also key elements for protest. So mitigating risk is an obligation and responsibility on all of us, because if you don't do that, it will leave public discontent, right? And so we have to have like processes that facilitate engagement, and rather than disengagement with society. So what are the risks what are the main risks that we face in Europe? It's basically political and social stability. We want to preserve what we have achieved, right? And we also have to build a mutual trust in a local level, in a European level, in every possible level. And we also have to integrate new values. Sustainability is a key for all of us, right? Because of the climate change and for all the changes we all face. And it has to do with every possible level. So OECD put together a list of how we can win back trust, and how can we improve trust, right? So institutions should focus on reliability, I should say also accountability, responsiveness to the issues that are facing society, openness, better regulation, integrity is also key, and fairness, and inclusive policy making. So, and we have to, another imperative, that we have to walk the talk, not just talk, right? And it's true for the institutions also. So we have to build a culture of cooperation, diversity and inclusion. And I would emphasize that we have to redefine in also at the national and European level, what does it mean for us to have diversity? What does it mean in our culture? And I think we have to work on this. Social science have to work on this. Okay? And also we have to work, we live in an extremely complex and extremely volatile and extreme, so velocity in this world is very, very high. So we have to strive for simplicity in our daily work and the daily operation, have less bureaucracy and being more effective. Because I don't want to paint a doomsday scenario, but I will show that we have to avoid extinction if possible. So then we have to make a life that it's livable, right? So security, sustainability, and also we have to build on empathy. So let's go back a little bit to the work of Husserl, Emil Briggs, and Ivan Baba. And I would just point out one passage from their book and from the book in the Academy of Sciences. Edward Husserl said that there's a need for cooperation among Central European countries, right? I think we have to acknowledge that we are very, very tiny, we are a very, very small country, so we need to cooperate. And we have to align. And then I also agree with some of Briggs that the language that we are using, it has to be changed. That countries in Central Eastern Europe shouldn't be considered as a periphery. So we have to, let's say, because we have to be, so the European Union has to treat us as equals, and all the countries, right? Because it goes against the founding documents and the founding values of the European Union. And then Baba even said, and I totally agree with him, that we should have a representation of regional diversity of politicians in leading European institutions. And I think this point should be well taken, right? So how should we get serious about the future of the European Union? We have to reflect diversity and European values in the European institutions. We need a new discourse treating countries equally. So yes, let's say, to take off the Indo-continental, because we have a lot of prejudices. So, and I rely on a lot. There's a lot of energy and a lot of work going on in the civil organization, but also in the multinational companies to build down prejudices that are built in. They put out some programs. It's available on the net, and it is free. For example, Telecom has put together a program like that, so it's available. I can provide you with the links, and they can use it. Institutions can use it, schools use it, everybody can use it. It's in Hungarian, because you have to adapt this kind of concepts to your local culture, and you cannot just take over and apply it accordingly. So we need a new shared vision of, of European identity, because we all have multiple identities, right? And then, but we have to realize we have to adopt and embrace sustainability and interdependency. So what is next? So basically, all organizations, let it be political, civil, or let's say business organizations, have to support an inclusive culture, and we have to create baseline metrics. I would say that, for example, IMF have put together some basic metrics about, for example, the gender pay gap, or other let's say differences, and how they measure diversity. But I have to say that the list or the metrics they use are far from full, and we have to use it in our own institutions and also at the EU level, and measure against what we have done. And I will tell you an example. That in major multinational companies, there is, the CEOs are pushed today to make a pledge that how they deal with diversity. They all employ now diversity officers, and they have to take it seriously, because and it's not, and they want to drive engagement. And every leader and every employee is responsible for signing up for this kind of things. And we have to make it widespread, because this can give us a hope that people get engaged and, value mutual acceptance. So, and also, I think it's the concept that we are using, and yes, we should support the concept instead of Eastern Europe or periphery. The concept will be accepted. So, again, rely on existing knowledge, share this knowledge, what is available already. Thank you for your attention.